Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. Um, so I'm sure you know that the last couple of videos that I uploaded are controversial, and some people are really upset about it, and others are wondering if it's a mistake, or if I'm going to take it back, or all of these things. People are saying that I'm saying it. Number one, I'm not the one that's saying this. It's in the texts themselves. It's in the Bible. So it's it almost cannot be more clear than the way that it is. Okay, so in Hosea 13 and Revelation 13, it says, "I am the Lord thy God from the land of Egypt." That word Lord, the Hebrew word is Yehovah. So it says, "I am the Yehovah from the land of Egypt. I will be unto them as a lion, a leopard, and a bear." So when you look in Revelation 13, it says, "I saw a beast having 7 heads and 10 horns, and the beast which I saw was like a lion, a leopard, a leopard, and a bear," basically. A leopard, a bear, and a lion. So the only way this could be more clear is if it literally said Yehovah is the beast. But I mean, this is almost as clear as it can get. There's absolutely no debate over this. It's right here. Yehovah is the beast. I, Yehovah, will devour them. The wild beast shall tear them. There's no question, but this isn't all there is to it. There's a lot more that I talk about in that other video that I uploaded, the dragon, the beast, and the harem. So if you haven't seen that yet, it's linked below in the description. So the other thing is that the dragon, which gives power to the beast, is the beast itself. So the dragon and the beast are basically one. So it says right here in Revelation 12, the dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns. So here in Revelation 13, the beast having 7 heads and 10 horns. So the dragon gives the power to the beast, and they are also, the dragon and the beast are one and the same. So if you watch that other video, you'll see that Yehovah cultivated Eden, which was Mesopotamia 6,000 years ago. That grew into the 4 stages of the beast, and the 4th stage was the Roman Empire. And then the final stage, which is called the 8th king, because the 7 heads are 7 kings, and the 8th king is the final stage. And that is when the beast devours the whole earth. And we've talked about that, and we've said, okay, this is the United Nations. It very clearly says 7 heads and 10 horns. That's the United Nations, 7 continents with the 10 regions that they've designated for the 10 regions that the United Nations designated for those 7 continents in 2009. So so that, and the United Nations, their flag is the Roman flag. I mean, they're stemming out of the Roman Empire, so it's all connected. But the Yehovah is the dragon, and I talk about this not only in that video, but I also talk about it in my book. It's on my website, indigoflower.net, PDF version, $5. Right in here, if you go in here to the PDF and you click on the deception, I go into it here. The thing that I think a lot of people are really upset about is they're wondering, well, where does the New Testament come into all of this? Because the Old Testament word for Lord is different from the New Testament word for Lord. Okay, so here's the New Testament word Lord. It's the Greek word Kyrios, and it means the owner. It does not have the same meanings as the Old Testament word for Lord that was translated as Lord. The Old Testament word for Lord is right here. It is Yehovah. It means the existing one, and it stems from this word right here, 1961, Haya, which means, among other things, to fall out. And this word is compared to 1933, which again means to fall, which is compared to 0183, which means to covet or be greedy. Now, if you go back and you look at the Greek word, the word that is traditionally associated with Jesus in the New Testament, it does not have any of those meanings. It does not stem from words that mean fall out or greedy or anything even remotely like that. So you can see right here, it's not stemming from anything else. It simply means the owner, to whom a person or thing belongs. Okay, so if you go back and read Genesis 1, you see that Elohim created the earth, and then in Genesis 2, the word Yehovah comes up. It's not in Genesis 1. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's exactly simple. It's complex, but there's no doubt about it. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this is the Nephilim right here, and that it's all connected. The Yehovah seem to be connected to the Nephilim here. The word means the same thing, okay? So if you go look at Genesis 6:4, where it says, and there are giants in the earth in those days, and the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, etc., etc. Well, that word giants right here, it means the Nephilim. It stems from 5307, which means to fall or be cast down. Again, very similar to the word Yehovah. Remember, the great dragon was cast out into the earth. So that's the dragon. Yehovah is the dragon. But also, it tells us right here in Genesis 3:22, the Lord God, that's Yehovah, said, this word Lord, when you see it in the King James, that's the word Yehovah. The majority of the time, probably 98-99% of the time, the word Lord will translate as Yehovah, or it is the word Yehovah translated into Lord. But Yehovah said, the man has become one of us, let us go down. So I mean, this is not only is Yehovah associated with the Nephilim, the words themselves are associated, mean the same things. They mean cast down, fall out. But it's not talking about one person. It's talking about a number of people. It says, let us go down. So the same is true of the Elohim. When you open up Genesis 1 and it says, God created the heavens and the earth, it's the Elohim, and the Elohim is plural. Okay, so, you know, it's not, this isn't me saying this. This is your Holy Bible that says this. Okay, so, but why? I mean, what does it mean? A lot of people are asking that, wait, what does this mean? This is all part of the separation of the quote-unquote sheep and goats. It's the separation of the wheat from the chaff. It all ties into this. So first, let's just look at this really quick. So, okay, so Yehovah is the dragon that cultivated Eden, the serpent, who is deceiving the whole world. So that is the beast. It gives power to the beast, and it is the beast. They're one and the same. All sorts of people that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, quote unquote, even though we know it's not really one person, it's a group of people. The texts tell us that outright. But it's just simpler for them to say, oh, him and she and all these singular prepositions. But in reality, we know the texts tell us that these are plural. These are groups of people that are being described here. So it says, all sorts of people that dwell upon the earth shall worship both the beast and the dragon. So if you look in Revelation 13, you can see that. So if we go in here and we look at Revelation 13, verse 8, it says, and all. So if we look at this word right here, all, you can see that the word, it says here, it is very rarely the all meaning all persons taken individually. The words are generally used to signify some of all sorts, meaning some Jews, some Gentiles, some rich, some poor, etc. So all sorts of people is what that means. That's really important because some people are waiting for this situation to arise where everybody has the mark of the beast or everybody is worshiping the beast. This word literally means all sorts of people, so it doesn't have to be everybody on the planet. So all sorts of people that dwell upon the earth will worship the dragon and the beast. So now that we understand who the dragon and the beast is, we know that it's Yehovah, the Lord of the Old Testament. So who is worshiping or giving or glorifying, in other words, the Lord of the Old Testament? Well, there are 3 different religions that worship, quote unquote, or glorify the Lord of the Old Testament, Yehovah, and that is Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So people of all sorts will be worshiping or glorifying this Lord of the Old Testament. If you take a look at this, okay, these are called the Abrahamic Religions. And if you take a look at this chart right here, you can see that everything in pink is the Abrahamic religion. So you can see that the majority of the people on the earth are glorifying the Lord of the Old Testament. But you know, some people are upset about that because they're coming on my channel. They're saying, wait a minute, you know, they might be Jewish, they might be Christian, they might be Muslim, and they're saying, but what does that mean? Does that mean that everybody that's Christian, everybody that's Jewish, everybody that's Muslim is not going to be rescued, that won't be saved? No, it doesn't mean that. It tells us right here in Revelation 18, it says, the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in Babylon the Great, basically. That's what it's referring to here. Come out of Babylon the Great, my people, so you don't receive of her or its plague. So this word right here, come out of her, it's referring to Babylon the Great, my people. The voice of the bridegroom and the bride will not be heard anymore at all in Babylon the Great. So what is Babylon the Great? It's this religious system that was set up. It started here in Mesopotamia. Yehovah cultivated Eden, which is right here, the Tigris and the Euphrates in Mesopotamia. It grew into, it had 4 different stages, which ended up as the Roman Empire, which at the height of its power covered the entire Mediterranean Sea. That's why Revelation 13 says, I saw a beast with 7 heads and 10 horns come out of the sea. It's talking about that Mediterranean Sea, which it completely dominated at its height. Okay, and then it says, okay, then it devoured the whole earth. So if you go look at Daniel, so down here, Daniel, it says the 4th kingdom, which is the 4th stage of the beast that's also described in Daniel 7. And then Daniel 7 says, okay, that 4th stage has 7 heads and 10 horns. Then that jumps to Revelation 13. But it says the 4th kingdom in Daniel 2, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. So that's the Yehovah. Again, that's confirmation that it's more than one person. Let us go down. The Yehovah said that humans have become one of us. And then Daniel is saying right here, they will mingle themselves with the seed of men. So we're talking about the 4th kingdom is the beast. That's the Nephilim or the dragon. And that is Yehovah. Okay. Here are some other scriptures if you want to look at right here. You can pause on that. But anyway, the point the point about this is that these are there are many different all sorts of people that are glorifying Yehovah. And mainly it's the religious groups. That's those three religions that officially glorify or worship the Lord of the Old Testament, Yehovah. So here it is right here. But why does that even matter? I mean, it's telling us right here that, okay, it's not telling you that you're not going to be saved if you're part of one of these religions. It doesn't say that. Yes, these religions are worshiping the beast, but no, it doesn't mean that individuals within these religions will not be rescued. It does not say that. In fact, it says the opposite right here. The bride will be taken out of Babylon the Great. So, but a lot of people are going around saying the only people that will be rescued in that first rescue, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video on it linked below. It's called Escape from the Serpent. It's absolutely real. I'm not on here talking about the standard rapture doctrine. Why would I need to do that? There are plenty of other people doing that. What I'm saying on this channel is that the standard rapture doctrine is not correct. The rescue that is described in these texts is where a multitude, the bride is a multitude of all nations, of people that cannot be counted, that will be taken to a safe place off planet for 3.5 years because of a huge, huge event that involves an asteroid strike and a nuclear event over the whole earth. No flesh will survive. That's why they have to take the survivors off planet. They'll be taken off planet for 3.5 years and then put back on the earth after that event. So that, I mean, that is what this story is telling us. That is what is in code in these texts. And why is it in code? It was written in code so that it would survive through that tyranny of the Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire altered the texts. So if we go right down here to Jeremiah 8:8, it says, "How do you say we are wise and the law of the Lord is with us? Lo, certainly in deception he made it. The pen of the scribes is in falsehood." So a lot of people are going to, get upset about that again. And they say, oh no, that doesn't say falsehood. It says vain. Oh no, it says falsehood. Let me show you right here. Let's see here. Sorry about that. Basically what happened is the Romans came in and they altered the texts. They altered those stories that are in those biblical texts. And I mean, here are some examples of some of the really, really evil stuff that's in these texts, okay, that says Yehovah did these things. Killing children, ordering somebody to kill their own child, premeditating the murder of one's own child, causing humans to eat their own children, killing telling them to kill their family and friends, sacrificing a child, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it goes on and on and on, the really evil things that are in these stories. And a person with a conscience would have to look at this and say, okay, wait a minute, what does this mean here? And some people come to one of three conclusions. They either say God is evil. I leave a link to a YouTube video here that I think this person has done a lot of research. They came to this conclusion. Other people will come to the conclusion that the stories in the Bible have been manipulated, which is what I'm saying. And number 3, the Bible is not literal, but rather it was written in code. So I'm saying these two things right here, okay? And this first thing, that's part of it, because the stories that were changed, remember it says, and he shall change the times and the laws. Remember that? That's referring to the little horn, which comes off of which stems out of the beast. So we know that we know that there are multiple fulfillments of these scriptures. We've already seen that. We know that there are layering effects. And so, I mean, without getting into all of that, let's just suffice it to say we know the Roman Empire was the fourth stage of the beast, and we know that the Roman Empire changed the times and the laws and changed the text, changed the stories. Okay, so right here, Jeremiah 8:8, how do you say we are wise and the law of the Lord is with us? Since lo, certainly in vain he made it. Okay, well, this word right here that's translated as vain in the King James Bible, 8267, let's look at it right here. Lie, deception, disappointment, falsehood, deception, deceit, fraud, wrong, fraudulently, falsehood, testify falsehood, false oath, swear falsely, falsely, lie, falsehood, false tongue, in vain, lie, lying, false, falsehood, falsely. Okay, do you see that? Yes, it does mean vain in the Bible 5 times. But 28 times it means lie, 21 times it means lying, 20 times it means false, 13 times it means falsehood, and 13 times it means falsely. Come on, this is falsehood here. Jeremiah is literally telling us that the scribes, that the pen of the scribes is in falsehood. In falsehood, he made it. Who? The Roman Empire. The Roman Empire rewrote the Bible, and they thought they were rewriting it, but they missed the codes. See, the Elohim knew that they were going to change what was in these texts. That's why the texts were written in code. So no one is saying, or I'm not saying on my channel that there is no truth in the Bible. I've never said that, because I've been talking about it for what, 2 years now, 3 years now, talking about the truth that is in the Bible. There's a lot of truth in there, but you have to put the puzzle pieces together. The pieces have to fit together perfectly. And it's in code. It's written in code. Otherwise, it never would have survived. The Romans wouldn't have passed it down to us. You see what I'm saying? Okay, here's another clue right here. Exodus 6:3. And I appeared unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by the name of El Shaddai, but by the name of Yehovah I was not known to them. So that's just another point that the Romans missed right there. It's telling you right there that, okay, everything that they said Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did, it's a deception. All those evil things that the Bible is telling you that they did, because believe me, if you haven't read Genesis, please go read it. And if you have trouble reading King James, just read the easy to read version or the Common English Bible. You can find both of those translations on Bible Gateway and just read it right there online. But please at least read the book of Genesis, because you'll see in there, once you read that there's a lot of really bad stuff. And you can tell that the Romans went in there and changed the stories and just made it sound more like how they were. Really what you're reading about is how the Romans were and what their morality was. So it tells you right here, look, these people right here, they didn't even worship a god named Yehovah. Their god's name was El Shaddai. So what's going on here? It's a deception. It's the grand deception. That word Yehovah was slipped into Genesis 2. It's not in Genesis 1. It was slipped in there. That is the beast. Okay, so the reason why this is a snare, obviously, is because some people are reading the Old Testament and they're thinking that all of these things that the Romans said were okay, they changed the stories and they said, oh, you can do all this stuff and you're perfectly fine just as long as you worship Yehovah. You're okay. You can do all this bad stuff. You can burn people alive. You can kill your whole family. You can do all this stuff, but as long as it's saying as long as you worship Yehovah, you're going to be fine. Well, that's the snare. because people that are doing bad things, they're not going to be rescued. Come on. Just because they say that they recite certain incantations, they're not going to. It says right here. Okay, first of all, in the New Testament, it says Jesus descended from Abraham, and why? So he could save his people from their sins, because people are deceived. A lot of Jesus's descendants and ancestors were deceived by Yehovah. So why did he come to save them? Because of the deception. So remember that Moses was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Who approached Moses? Yehovah. Who approached Abraham in the wilderness? Yehovah. And said, if you will worship me, I will give you all the nations of the world. I make of you a great nation. Leave your father's house and go to a land I will show to you. By the way, that's in here as well. Leave your father's house and go to a land that I will show to you. And what was that land? That was the land of Canaan. Canaan is the place that Noah cursed. And it's in here, but I can't find it right now. Noah cursed Canaan, remember that? And what did Yehovah say to Abraham? He said, leave your father's house and go to a land that I will show you. And that land that they went to was Canaan. It was already populated, and they killed everybody there. Okay, here it is right here. Noah was a just man and walked with the Elohim, and Noah said, cursed be Canaan. Okay, right here. This is it right here. So he said to Abraham, leave your father's house and go to a land I show you. What land was that? It was the land of Canaan. And Noah was a just man, and Noah cursed Canaan. So that's all code right there. It's telling you this land that Yehovah was taking them. This word Lord, this is Yehovah. This land that Yehovah was telling Abraham to go to was the land that Noah cursed. So, and then we have some other information in here. The Lord said, my warlike energy and executive and administrative power shall not always govern with man. He is deceived. But his days will be 120. By the way, this word years, it also means lifetimes. So 120 lifetimes, which can easily mean jubilees. So these are the words right here. Okay, warlike energy. And that's what Yehovah is. I mean, it's clear, you guys. We all know that. And those of us that have actually read the Bible know that Yehovah was a warlord. Yehovah, it was always go kill those people, go, destroy that colony, etc., etc. We all know that. That shouldn't be a big surprise. So, okay. So this isn't me saying this. This is the Holy Bible that is saying this, okay? Just want to reiterate that one more time. Okay, so how is this separating the sheep from the goats? Because right here it says, let both grow until the harvest. So this is talking about the wheat and the chaff. Another parable is the sheep and the goats. There's a separation. But it tells us right here in 2 Thessalonians that there will be some who will be sent a strong delusion. And what is a delusion? The very definition of delusion. And let me just find it for you. A delusion is a belief held with strong conviction, despite superior evidence to the contrary. What did we just look at? We looked at superior evidence to the contrary, that this Lord of the Old Testament is a good person. And if you read the book, it's clear. People that value the Bible, people that believe the Bible is their holy book do consider the text of the Bible superior evidence, correct? They consider that superior, it's a holy book to them. It's superior evidence. So it says right here, superior evidence to the contrary. The text of the Bible, according to them, is superior evidence. And what does it tell you? Yehovah is the beast, over and over again, all throughout there. Yehovah is the God of war. Yehovah is the one that's telling them to go kill their families, kill all these different people, go to war with these people, etc., etc. The Roman Empire put that in there. The Roman Empire is the beast. They changed the text. They put Yehovah in there. They made themselves God. They tried to make themselves God so that people would worship them. And it worked. Wow. I mean, it worked so well. It's still working now in 2014. So the delusion, so if you go look at your King James and it says, this is not the King James translation. This is the easy to read version right here. But if you go look at the King James version, it will say, God will send them strong delusion. Basically, that causes them to believe a lie. They are lost because they refuse to love the truth, so God will send them strong delusion that causes them to believe a lie. Why? Because they enjoyed doing bad things. Okay, so think about it. Who in their right mind would choose to ignore this information? Because that's really what it is. It's ignorance. They're choosing to ignore these verses in the Bible right here. Or they're going to come up with some other, okay. They'll try to justify the behavior, this truly evil behavior that you find in these texts that, by the way, the Romans put in there because that's what they were doing and they wanted to justify it. But you still have people nowadays justifying this behavior. Who in their right mind would justify some of the stuff that is in there? People who have a conscience, people who have a heart, would not justify that behavior. That's why it says right here, for this people's heart has become callous. They hardly hear with their ears and they have closed their eyes. You have to close your eyes. You'd have to not read the text. Otherwise, meaning if they actually read the book, otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts and say, hey, killing women and children and murdering your whole family is not good. Understand with their hearts and turn, and I would heal them. Because that's his whole purpose. That's Jesus talking right there. That's his whole purpose, to save them from their sins, to save them because they were deceived by the dragon. He said it's not their fault. I want them to turn. I want them to understand this. I want them to know that they've been deceived and that this person right here that was murdering people and trying to claim to be God, that person is not God. That is not a person. It's a group, and they are the beast. That's the Roman Empire. That's who Yehovah is. It's the dragon. Okay, so that's the delusion right there. They refuse to acknowledge these scriptures. They have this strong conviction that Yehovah is this good Lord, despite the evidence to the contrary. Right here. It's all over the place. They keep saying that the Lord of the Old Testament was good despite all the evidence to the contrary. I mean, I'll leave some links below in the description box for you guys. I'm sorry this is long-winded, but I know some of you keep saying to me, that you need to hear somebody talk about this. You can't watch those other videos. So that's why I'm making this. If you don't want to listen to me talk about it, just go watch those other videos. It's more concise. But that's what these texts are saying. I mean, the texts themselves have been altered by the Romans, but the codes in there are telling you that the Romans, It's genius. The texts are actually telling you that, okay, the Romans are going to change the text, but still pay attention because we're telling you what's going on here. They are the beast. They are going to devour the whole world, and all sorts of people are going to worship them, thinking they're worshiping God. They're going to worship these warlords. So it says right here, the Lord said, the Yehovah said, my warlike energy shall not always govern humans. He is deceived, yet his days shall be 120 years. And I will just show you this really quick. We'll go over here. This is BibleStudyTools.com. We'll go over here to Genesis 6:3, and we'll look at this word right here, this word years. It also means lifetime. So, so what is this referring to? It could be referring to the Jubilees, because there's a Jubilee every 50 years. So a 50 years could be considered a lifetime. So it's saying he will be alone 120 lifetimes. So the Yehovah, the beast, has this warlike energy and executive power, but not forever. That's what Genesis 6:3 is telling you. This is the codes that the Elohim put in here for us, saying, okay, this warlike energy is not always going to govern humans. They are deceived, but they will only be deceived for 120 lifetimes, okay? That could be referencing the Jubilees, which are every 50 years. 50 times 120 is 6,000 years. Where are we right now? We're approximately 6,000 years from Mesopotamia, where the Yehovah cultivated Eden, which turned into Babylon, and then then it tells us in code the 4 stages of the beast. I explain all of that in those other videos. I also explain it in my book. So, okay. Okay, so again, back to the wheat and the chaff and the sheep and the goats. So some people are deceived by this. They're deceived by the Lord of the Old Testament, and so there are actually people out there who are using things that are in the Bible to justify their bad, hurtful behavior. You guys know that's true, right? There's a lot of people. I can tell you my personal experience. 80 to, I would say 90% or more of the people that come to my channel attacking me viciously are people that claim to be Christian. So, I mean, there are a lot of people out there right now that are doing evil things. This was going on during the Roman Empire as well. For probably millennia, this has been going on. That people are doing evil things, hurting others, even murdering others, and using the Bible to justify that behavior. So why were they sent the strong delusion? Why did they have the strong delusion? Why did they believe a lie? Because they enjoyed doing bad things. That's what 2 Thessalonians 2:9-12 is saying. That's the reason that they were deluded by this deception. Because they refused to acknowledge the evidence that this Lord of the Old Testament was doing really bad things. They refuse to acknowledge that, hence the definition of delusion. They're deluding themselves. They're refusing to accept the evidence, and they're absolutely, what was the word they used? Convicted. They have this strong conviction despite the evidence. They have this strong conviction that no, Yehovah really was good, even though all the evidence in their own holy book is telling them otherwise. You see? And why are they deluded like that? Because they are the ones who are using the Bible to justify their bad behavior. Jesus said, "Therefore I speak to them in parables, because while seeing they do not see, and while hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. For this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them." Okay. So the wheat and the chaff right here. Okay, there's another parable that Jesus talked about. He said, okay, the kingdom of heaven is like a man which sowed good seed in his field, and while the man slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. Then the servants of the householder came and said, did you not sow good seed in the field? Where did the tares come from? And they said, you want us to go? And he said, an enemy did this. And they said, do you want us to go out there and pull out the tares? And he said, no, because if you pull out the tares, you might accidentally pull up the good wheat too. So just leave them. Let both grow together until the harvest. Then at harvest time, harvest season, which we know that the time period of the Elohim is huge compared. Remember, it says in 2 Peter, 1 day is 1,000 years. We also know a day can also be a year. So a season could be a much larger time period than just 1 year or one season in human time frame. You see what I mean? So when the harvest season comes around, which by the way, we're in it right now. And how do we know that? Because the 120 Jubilees, it says the warlike energy will not reign. It will only last 6,000 years. Remember that? The 120 lifetimes is 120 Jubilees, which is 6,000 years. When did it all start? It started in Eden, which was Mesopotamia. If you're lost right now in what I'm saying, please go watch those other videos I just uploaded and get the book, because the book, you guys, the reason it's worth a lot more than $5, the reason it's only $5 is because I really want people to have this information. I want people to know what this is. This is extremely important information. I'm not trying to make money. I'm trying to get this information out to as many people as possible. Believe me, I would not be selling that thing for $5 if I was trying to make money. It's worth a lot more than that. It's worth a lot more than that. So please, if you're not getting what I'm saying, just go get the PDF document and print it out. Please. This is information for you. That's really important. We are in this time frame right now. I'm not a religious person. I've said that a lot of times. Some people get upset about that, and the people that are deceived by what the Roman Empire wrote in there. Oh, certain people of certain religions, people of certain race, people of certain, there are people out there attacking you because you're not their religion, or you're said the Muslims. All of these Abrahamic religions, they're all fighting each other. The Muslims, the Jews, the Christians, they're all fighting each other. That's what the Romans wanted them to do. The beast, that's what the beast wanted them to do. That's why it says anyway, the point is, okay, they will grow together until the harvest time. The harvest time is a long period of time. It's a whole season that happens at the end of 6,000 years. From the time Yehovah cultivated our civilization in Eden, Mesopotamia, until now has been 6,000 years. That's exactly what it says. The warlike energy of Yehovah will only last 6,000 years. Right here, 120 lifetimes. That's the Jubilees. Okay, so at harvest time, gather first the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them. Well, some people will look at this and say, oh, okay, well then that means that the tares are gonna be taken off planet. No, that's not what it says. It doesn't say that here. It clearly tells us, and please watch Escape from the Serpent. It's linked below in the description box. Clearly says in the codes in these texts, all the puzzle pieces fit together perfectly, that the woman in Revelation 12, which is the multitude of all tribes and nations, that is the bride. The multitude of all tribes and nations. That means that it doesn't matter what religion they are. It does not matter what religion they are. I've never said that. Okay? See, people are very, well, they're confused by this information. That's why I'm trying to provide clarity. It has nothing to do with what religion you are. It has nothing to do with what race you are. It has nothing to do with what language you speak or how you dress or anything like that. The multitude of all tribes and nations will be taken off planet to a safe place that God prepared for them. This is what the texts tell us. For 3.5 years, 1,260 days. And then they will be put back on the earth, Revelation 22. They will put back on the earth. They will return after those 3.5 years. So no, this is not saying that the tares will be taken off planet. It does not say that. It says the tares will be bound into bundles to burn them. That means in order to burn them. In order to burn. But what does the burning mean? Okay? The burning is the nuclear event. It could be one of two things, okay? Or both. It's either the asteroid strike or the nuclear event. Zechariah talks about a nuclear war. He literally describes the missiles that go forth across the whole earth that cause the event that causes the skin to melt off their bodies. He is describing in detail a nuclear event in the book of Zechariah. So the burning, when it talks about the whole earth being burned, and when it talks about the tares being burned, it's talking about they go through this nuclear war that's coming. Okay, that's number one. And number two, there's an asteroid strike. And an asteroid strike also could be the event that spurs on the nuclear war. You see what I'm saying? We don't really know. But that's what that burning is referenced to. So it's going to bind the tares to go through the Great Tribulation. So we also know it tells us, and I talk about this in Escape from the Serpent, the code word blessed and the code word woe unto them. Remember, it says, woe unto them who put good for evil and evil for good. That's referring to the tares. That's the tares who are worshiping evil and saying that it's good. Woe unto them who put good for evil and evil for good. Okay, so the blessed and the woed are that parallels the wheat and the tares, the sheep and the goats. These are all symbolic language here. So the blessed, we know it says that the blessed are those who go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. The marriage supper, quote unquote, is code for the rescue. Remember, it all had to be written in code, otherwise it would not have survived that tyranny, and we wouldn't be reading it right now. We wouldn't even know. And I can tell you, a lot of people wouldn't be alive right now if it weren't for these texts. That's the truth. Okay, so because these texts are encouraging, this information is encouraging for the blessed. So it says right there, the blessed are the ones that go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. The marriage supper is code for that rescue. So the blessed, when you look in the text and you see blessed is the meek, blessed are those that are merciful, blessed are the et cetera, it lists off some of the attributes of those people that are going to go in that first rescue. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with that. It says, let the wheat and the chaff grow together. So in your church, for example, if you go to church or if you don't go to church, that neither one of those categories is the category that the Elohim have, because the Elohim are not judging according to what religion you are, what race you are, what social status you have, etc., etc. That has nothing to do with it. It has to do with what's in your heart. That's what Jesus said. It has to do with your fruits. Whether you're going around attacking people, remember it says you will know them by their fruits. Do they have thorns? Are they growing thorns and thistles? Meaning, are they hurting you? Or are they providing fruit, information, or, help, giving you encouragement? You will know them by their fruits. So they're going to grow together until the harvest time, and the tares will be bound first. How are they going to be bound? They're not going to be burned first. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say they're burned first. It says they're bound first in order that they go through that burning event, which is the Great Tribulation. So they're going to be bound in order to go through that tribulation. They'll be bound before the tribulation, basically. They're going to be bound first, then gather the wheat into the barn. Revelation 12 gives us the exact time period. The bride goes into the safe place for 3.5 years, 1260 days. That's the Great Tribulation period. Daniel 12, Revelation 12, and Matthew 24 talk about it in that video and also in my book. So the tares are bound first in order to go through the Great Tribulation, which is 1260 days, and the wheat are gathered into the barn at the beginning of that 1260 day period. So how are the tares bound? How are they bound? They're bound by the strong delusion right here. They're bound by that idea that Yehovah is good, contrary to all the evidence that Yehovah is evil. So Elohim is not going to rescue people that are going around hurting others and glorifying the God of war. You see? All right, so that's pretty much it, you guys. I'm going to let you go because I've already talked for almost an hour. But I know some people were they couldn't understand that. They were trying to understand it, and they were asking questions. So I felt like I had to make this video and just explain it in a personable way. Although I know it almost took an hour to explain it. This stuff is really complex, So, again, it has nothing to do with what religion you are. So, yes, the Christian, Jewish, and Muslim religions are glorifying Yehovah. Yehovah is the beast. There's no question about that. But that has nothing to do with who's going to be rescued. Okay, because it clearly says right here that the bride, those that are rescued, that are coming out of all tribes and nations, not just a certain religion. It's not just the Christians that are going to be saved. Oh, no way. I mean, you can see that clearly. There are so many people out there that are hateful that belong in these religions, and there are people that are good that belong in these religions. So the people that are rescued are the multitude of all kinds of people. And some of them will be taken out of Babylon the Great, right here. Some of them will be taken out of Babylon the Great, which is the Abrahamic religions. Why, by the way, why does the text even talk about those that worship the beast? Because it's giving us warning about where that asteroid is going to strike. That is the point. And that's why I've talked about the asteroid so much, because that's the whole point of all of this. Pointing out, okay, where are they located? Those that are glorifying Yehovah, the beast, the dragon and the beast, the dragon that gives power to the beast, those that are glorifying that, where are they located? Right here. And where are the waters of Babylon the Great? And I talk about this in the other video. It says Babylon the Great sits on the waters that have many different types of people. Many different types of people in different languages. It's right here. It's the Atlantic Ocean. And it says the millstone will hit The millstone will hit the sea, and that's how Babylon the Great will be destroyed. Well, this is Babylon the Great right here. Babylon the Great will be destroyed by an asteroid that hits the sea. Well, which sea are we talking about? We're talking about the Atlantic Ocean. That's the point of it. It's a warning. It's saying, okay, this is where the asteroid's going to strike, the Atlantic Ocean. You see what I mean? It's not demonize. It's the point is not to demonize everybody that belongs in these religions. That's not the point, and that's not what it's saying. The point is that it's telling us where the asteroid is going to strike. It also tells us that the seed of the beast will be in darkness. So we also know the United Nations is the final stage of the beast. That's when it devours the whole earth. And where is the seat of the United Nations? It's in New York City. So that gives us even more clue. And again, check out those other videos that I uploaded, because I show you where the third of the earth is. It says that a third of the earth will be darkened and the seat of the beast will be darkened. So we know that third of the earth has to include New York City, you see. If you're confused, go watch that other video and just pause it and soak it in, because yeah, this stuff is really complex, and you know, I've been studying this stuff pretty much my whole life because I was raised in a Christian religion as a child, and it was intensive. So, I mean, you know, if this is confusing you, then please go watch those other videos and just pause and read it, because it's extremely complex. But yeah, it tells us that the darkness is caused by the asteroid. There's two different asteroids. One hits the sea and one hits the land. The one that hits the land creates a huge pit. Smoke comes out of the pit and darkens the air and the sky for 1/3 of the earth, an entire third portion of the earth. Where is that third portion of the earth? It includes New York City. So it could be from New York City here all the way over to here, or it could be North and South America. We don't know, but we know it's somewhere over here. It involves the Atlantic Ocean and somewhere over here. The third portion of the earth that will be in darkness is somewhere over here. You see what I mean? That's the whole point of all of it. The whole point is, where is this asteroid going to strike? It is a warning. It is a warning to the people living in these areas. So, and also, I think it's a call to repentance as well, because a lot of people have been worshiping the beast unknowingly. And I think that there are some people that are on the fence. They're involved in these religions, and they see all of these other people around them saying, well, you're not supposed to like people that are Muslim or Jew or Christian, because you're not Muslim. You know, you're Muslim, so you shouldn't like Christians, or you're Christian, so you shouldn't like Muslims. And I think there are some people that are kind of sitting there going, you know, that doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't seem right to be prejudiced. It doesn't seem right to be judging people based on a religion. So that can't be right. And I think that's part of the warning here. The warning that's saying, look, this is Babylon the Great right now, right here. They are worshiping the beast. There's going to be an asteroid that is going to strike, that is going to set this location, entire third portion of the earth, in darkness. They're going to be in pain for a total of 5 months. It tells you that. Okay, I'm going to stop right now because it's already been almost an hour. But this video is obviously for those of you that just really do want to know the truth. You know, because people that don't really want to know the truth, they're not going to listen to this for an hour, obviously. So, I mean, I'm making this for you guys. I'm making it for those of you that are sitting there going, wait a minute, what's going on here? Anyway, I'll stop now, okay? But if you want, I'll leave some of these links of these religious distribution, because you can see right here that Christians and Muslims make up the majority of the people on the planet. I mean, non-religious people, which is the group I belong to, is the minority. I mean, atheists are really the minority. So, I mean, that's the reality of what we're living in. The majority of the people on the planet are basically glorifying the Lord of the Old Testament. So anyway, I'll leave some of these links for you. I hope that you were encouraged by this. I hope that if you felt discouraged by some of those other videos, you're not alone, and I hope that this is encouraging for you. That's the point. And I hope you guys are doing I hope you guys are doing good. I love you so much, and I will talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.